Thank you very much, Professor Sulaiman Shari, to provide us the well-made slide and enlightened speech. Up next, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the next topic is Smarter and Safer Capturing the Customer of Tomorrow, delivered by National Wholesale Manager of SG Wholesale Australia, Mr. Luke Beattie. Please welcome Mr. Luke Beattie.
G'day, I'm Luke Beattie. Many thanks to Huawei, the Huawei APAC management, industry professionals, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the National Manager of SG Wholesale, the wholesale and distribution business of SolarGain, one of Australia's most trusted solar energy brands. We have a national presence and supply products and services to solar companies, installers, EPCs and projects. SolarGain has over 20 years experience in residential and commercial solar and has been in the top 3 of Australian service providers since 2014. We have strategic partnerships not only with Huawei, but companies such as Qantas and IKEA, to name a few. My perspective in the following is shaped by the feedback from our customers and industry professionals. Of course, some of it may be similar to your own experiences, and some may be unique to the Australian market. I'd like to walk you through some of the observations on the evolution of solar energy customers in the last decade and how the trend towards smarter and safer solutions will shape the customers of tomorrow. As an industry leader and key stakeholder, I'm sure you spend time considering what the customers of tomorrow will look like. As we identify what their main drivers will be, it'll help to direct our actions of today. The typical solar customer has evolved rapidly over the last decade. When residential solar first emerged in Australia, a common driver of the early adopters was taking personal action against climate change. People wanted to be part of the transition from carbon-intensive energy generation to a cleaner alternative. It ceased being a distance response by large energy generators and became a personal responsibility. This transition started taking place home by home. Before governments were ramped up to offset the investment required for residential solar, the typical solar consumers were tech-savvy, had enough disposable income to put panels on their home. Their main focus wasn't necessarily on a fast payback period. What they received was what we can now deem a very basic system. The panels generated energy and monitoring was an optional extra. The quality of components and the longevity of the products was indicative of the companies who produced them. Some of them didn't make it through the decade. Incentives and rebates were offered by state and federal governments in Australia, often compounded one on top of the other. Payback periods reduced and the uptake of residential solar exploded. Residential solar had moved into the mainstream. In a trend which I'm sure has been reflected in many other markets, the average PV system size in Australia has increased markedly in the last 10 years. In 2010, the average system size for residential and small commercial installs was 1.4 kilowatts. Back then, one of the key questions to consumers was about how big their budget was. Fast forward to the present day and the average system is 8.1 kilowatts. Now the key question is about how much roof real estate they have to determine how many panels you can fit. When the feed-in tariffs were their highest, it made a lot of sense to push excess generation to the grid. Feed-in tariffs were generous from the grid operators, and this created even more incentive for customers to go ahead. However, the dependence on feed-in tariffs to reduce payback periods became less reliable. By necessity, grid operators began reducing feed-in tariffs and adding new requirements such as zero export to manage the glut of solar energy streaming into the network during daylight hours. Solar households were producing enough energy to meet their own requirements, but not after the daylight hours, when the requirements are often at their highest. The next frontier was clear: home battery storage to shift solar generation into the hours when the sun isn't shining. It can be argued that a decade ago, battery technology was still immature and costs prohibitive. Batteries and home storage were reserved for the customers at the very top end of budgets, the uptake of home battery solutions was mostly confined to tech-savvy early adopters, much like we saw in the early days of PV. Battery rebates and virtual power plant programs emerged in different Australian states, which helped the uptake by average consumers. In that time, we've seen a progression of home battery technologies towards maturity and a rapid scaling downwards in their cost. This combination suggests that we may see a similar increase in battery demand as what we saw with PV installs. Payback periods will continue to decrease, and it's bringing us closer to the mainstream tipping point. However, it's wrong to assume that cost is the only driver for home storage. Other drivers have also become apparent, including the desire for independence from the electricity grid, those who are image conscious, those seeking energy security in unreliable parts of the grid, as well as those who are comfortable with longer payback periods on home storage. Mitigating climate change has also remained important across these groups as well. In the same way that residential solar and battery solutions have progressed at such a rapid pace, so has the knowledge and expectations of the consumers of these products. Unlike the customers of 10 years ago, most of them are likely to have friends and family who have had solar installed. The experiences of these family and friends will inform their decisions. Also, as with other technologies, today's consumers will do their own research online and pay close attention to product and company reviews. The last decade has been one where we've seen a rapid convergence of technologies. Technologies that once operated as islands have become intertwined. The new energy space, including solar and storage, are a great example of this. The residential PV systems that once operated independently are now operating with reference to the customer's energy usage profile, their major household loads, Internet of Things devices, energy management, and also with reference to the grid requirements and regulations. In a very short space of time, we've seen these primitive home energy generators become the cornerstone of the new distributed energy model. They are at the hub of the smart homes of the future. Residential customers are seeking intelligent solutions that are custom fit to their home, lifestyle, and energy usage profile. We need to offer them these smarter solutions to stay relevant. The development of features in smart homes will be comparable to that of mobile phones, which didn't always come with cameras, music, email, payment features, and all of the other functions that we now assume as standard. We actually don't know today all of the features that will be developed and therefore desired in future residential energy solutions. However, the last decade has taught us that technology without smart integration is unlikely to succeed. Energy and information are the key drivers of future solutions in all forms of technology. Therefore, we need to select partners who already specialise and excel in these two things, such as Huawei. As leaders in 5G networks and beyond, artificial intelligence and communications, we are expectant of their ability to stay at the forefront. We welcome the newest release of Huawei's residential smart PV solutions, the Lunar battery, which completes the offering. Customers now desire, even expect us, to provide a complete solution. Tomorrow's customers are chasing even smarter and safer residential solar solutions, and our ability to provide that will be a key factor in our future success. Now, as a disclaimer, I don't expect to surprise any of you with the following, but these are reflective of their expectations. Monitoring that is easy to understand and intuitive. It should be accessible locally and remotely. Optimal solutions. The best solution for your customer may require optimizers. Whether fully or partially deployed across the system, they help to mitigate shading and to return the best yields. Battery storage is an ever-present conversation with customers and is bound to be a part of their decisions. The capability for battery backup is even better. If they aren't ready for batteries yet, the system should be compatible for the addition of storage in the future. However, not all battery solutions are created equal. The Huawei Lunar's ability for flexible expansion and 100% depth of discharge is excellent, as is the ability for full nameplate AC output and consecutive full battery charging from PV. But most importantly, we can be confident of their safety features, which include multiple sensors and faulty pack isolation. After all, when it comes to a residential solar and battery solution, safety is paramount. A decade ago, as solar ramped up rapidly, governments and regulators, grid operators, scrambled to modify guidelines, laws and safety requirements to nullify the risks created by solar systems. This was typically used in passive safety controls. Solar systems installed into family homes sometimes posed more hazards than the benefits they offered. Regulators often seem to be one step behind the rapidly changing energy landscape. A good example of this in Australia is a requirement for rooftop DC isolators. They were introduced into the standards after consultation with emergency services. The intent of rooftop isolators was good in order to be able to shut down rooftop solar as required, or in the case of an emergency. However, in practice it created a whole new set of issues. In some cases, water ingress into the rooftop isolators became the cause of fires. DC isolators were also incapable of rapid DC shutdown, so the safety they provided was limited. External safety measures were necessary because the inverters and existing technology weren't capable of managing their own safety sufficiently. But there is another way of ensuring the safety of residential PV systems, which doesn't rely on external measures. Intrinsically safe products give us more confidence to install them in people's homes. Some of the greatest advancements in solar inverters has been the shift from passive to active safety features. An excellent example of this is the AI-enabled arc fault circuit interruption in Huawei inverters, which provides utmost safety with an ultimate degree of accuracy. When optimizers are installed, this self-learning feature also positions where the issue is. Not only should this level of inbuilt safety be an option, but we should gravitate towards the products that offer it as a standard. We must demand that our solutions are safe and complete. Huawei FusionSolar residential solutions are also capable of rapid DC shutdown when deployed with optimizers. This gives us confidence to install Huawei products on people's homes, knowing that it comes equipped with leading safety features. We owe it to our customers to offer as safe solutions as we would expect on our own homes. This is one of the reasons I chose Huawei for my home and for my family. As a distributor of solar components, I'd also like to briefly mention the feedback we receive from installers about the products they prefer dealing with. Installers gravitate towards products that are easy to install and commission. Features such as auto detection of devices and AI-enabled auto mapping of optimizers are rated highly as it makes for quick and easy commissioning. Modular batteries that can be lifted by 2 people are preferred to very heavy batteries that require mechanical devices to install. Installers want products to be adaptable across different networks and regulations, such as varied requirements for DRM, zero export, prescribed volt VAR settings, and whatever else is determined by regulators. Remote diagnosis and adjustment of settings is also highly regarded. Excellent after-sales service and guaranteed longevity of support, such as that given from large diversified companies. And also responsiveness to the feedback of customers and key stakeholders. It's important to pay attention to installers, as good experiences for installers translate as a good experience for customers. In summary, the customers of tomorrow are seeking smarter and safer solutions, and we're in the prime position to offer them. Thanks, I appreciate having the time to share with you today.